Welcome back to the channel where we talk all things discovery, discomfort and DIY. Today I have my DIY hat on and I am nearly finished building a pergola or an old carport to be able to work on the car out of the rain. And of course, the day I nearly finished it, it is absolutely blistering outside. But we won't complain. So what I'll do is I'll talk you through what I did, because I spent ages trying to research and look at videos and figure out how I could put this together. So I'll take you through what I did and hopefully it's helpful for somebody else. So you can see I had a shocking slope going on there, which I probably will level this out at some point. So first job, I had to level these posts. So I cut a small square section into this one, the highest point, to be able, and got this level, and this was my starting point then. And I had a laser basically going out across here and lengths of wood and trying to see where basically this is level, where I can start the post. And it is a complete optical illusion, right? It looks like I thought my laser was broken, I thought the spirit level was broken. To get these level, so when I come down to the deepest one, what I did is I built a small wedge out of concrete basically to get a level here. Now I did the same thing in this one, but I'm after finished concreting these blocks into a little pillar. But you can see here what I did is I had a small wedge to get this level, and then the bricks on top of it. Now I'm starting to half put a pillar around this as well, similar to this one, but that is a work in progress. I must do another pour. So then after that, got these 4-inch square fence post bases, and these are concrete expanding bolts. There's a small little butterfly inside. So these are M12. And then I drilled them 10.5. And then when you tap them into the hole, and once this starts to tighten, the expanding bolt inside expands, and these are rock solid inside in the block. And then I have my 4-inch square fence posts, and they are all basically level now and in line. So, and then on the other side, on the house side, I basically bolted a 7x2 using the same concrete anchor bolts that I used over for this concrete. They're the same anchor bolts here. So I have a 7x2 on the wall side the whole way across. And then I ran these are weather treated 4x2s, and then my run is about 4.1 meters, and then they come in 4.8 meter lengths. So I was able to kind of just use one length basically and cut it to where I needed, and it gets wider at the back, so I was cutting more off here and cutting less down the back. And then on this side, on the house side, because the 4x2s were pretty much sitting on top of the 7x2s, I didn't cut any bird's mouth on this side. I just used these upside down joist hangers to kind of pull them down onto the 7x2. And then on the other side, what I did is I had these kind of offered up, and then I needed to figure out where am I going to put my cross piece here, my 4x2 going the whole way along. So I had these offered up. I put a small little stand here, and I was kind of adjusting this up and down basically to see where should this sit, so I can get a small slant basically from house side off this side, because obviously you need the rain to kind of run off this way, so you need a bit of a downward angle with the wood going this way. So once I kind of had a sufficient downward angle, and I was using the spirit level and checking the wood to make sure it was a downward angle this side, then I cut slots inside in these 4x2s about a third of the way. So this is 100 mil, it's a 4 inch. 4 inches this way, this is 100 mil. I went 1/3 of the way, so I went 30 mil, and I cut what's called a bird's motor. I cut a section out of this so that the 4x2 sits down onto the cross piece, and then again I use the upside down joist hangers to make sure that it stays, because this is it's a bit of a wind tunnel, so I want to make sure that those rafters are pulled right down onto the cross pieces. Now this run here is about just under 6 meters. I think it's 5.7. So I couldn't get a 4x2 to run the full length of this. So what I did is I did half this way, and then in the middle on this fence post, what I did is I basically cut the end of the 4x2 in a 45-degree angle. So I have this piece coming here, and then this piece coming here, and they're sitting on top. So if you can see there, there's basically the two pieces of wood are sitting on top of each other at an angle. And then I have screws, 120 mil long screws. I'll show you them in a minute. The screws that are holding my cross pieces onto the timber posts there. I used 6 mil by 100 mil screws. That is not even them. That's a rogue screw in the box. That's them, these beasts. So I used them, 6 by 100 mil to bolt those cross pieces to the posts, to bolt this and this onto the fence post, and they're kind of sitting on top of each other here. And then I used this plate, like a roofing kind of truss plate, to kind of make sure that it stays together right. These smaller ones that I use to put the joist hangers onto the rafters are 4 by 30 mil. They are T20. Sometimes for these roof joists, people use twist nails and hammer them in, but I kind of thought, okay, if I use the twist nails, they're a nightmare to get out, whereas if I need to take this down for any reason, I can buzz all them out handy enough. And then the roof bolts, I don't have any left, so I'll whip one out there to show you. Beautiful day, beautiful view. Nice. Now, let's see, can I whip one of these out? This is what I use for the roof. They are 6 mil, and you can see they have a small neoprene washer on them, which is supposed to stop the water from leaking through. And then the holes that I drilled. So I was told that if these are 6 mil, I should be drilling 8 mil holes to allow for expansion in the plastic. So I drilled small 8 mil holes in the plastic, and then these 6 mil bolts sit down over them. And then after I had all my rafters in, I wanted to make sure, right? So these roof panels, the corrugated plastic panels, are typically like 2 foot. They're like 600 mil wide. I'll move a little bit because of the sun. let's go this way. So they were typically 600 mil wide. So I made the distance between here and here 500 mil. So I made this 500 mil so that my plastic panels will sit just over on this side and just over on this side, each side of the rafter, so that when I overlap the plastic panels, they're not going to be kind of overlapping, I suppose, in the middle of this. I kind of wanted them to straddle either side of the gap, so I made this gap 500 mil. And then I put in these purlins, because this is quite a long run, like it's over 4 meters. So in the middle, you know, there was a bit of flex in the wood. So I put in these purlins. These are, again, same 4x2s, treated timber, 500 mil, to just kind of brace up the whole structure and give it that extra bit of strength. And then once that's done, I kind of had my whole frame, my roof rafters ran, and the purlins going across in between them. And then it was time to mount the plastic roof panels. Now, I initially was going to screw them into the rafters, but I kind of had two thoughts. One was I didn't really want to put roof screws that, you know, there's a rubber washer on them. Sometimes I didn't want them the water to seep down into these rafters. So I ran, if you can see, I had some extra bits of wood in the back shed. So I ran long pieces of wood, kind of a third of the way, a third of the way, and a third of the way, going this way, the whole way down. And I bolted the roof to these then. So then basically, I don't know, I kind of had a thought that in a couple of years time, if some water gets in through the screws, you can see I had some long ones here that I had in the back shed. So you could see these are coming through the wood. So look, if the water happens to seep down past the rubber washer down into this, at least this will rot. And I can change this, and this kind of stays solid. That was my thinking behind it. And then for the roof panels, I got 9 foot. They're panels, they're about 2.7 meters, which kind of brought me to about here. And then I had 6 foot panels, which is about 1.8 meters, to go from here down to the end. And that got me to the end with a small little bit of an overlap. I have a small bit of an overlap here to be able to put a gutter, so that the runoff will come down and then into the gutter. And that also gives me enough. You can see here there's a cover. Basically, you have to overlap them. So this one coming down is on top and this one is underneath, so that the water will basically run this way and carry on down. But I wanted enough of an overlap. I have like 400 mil or something of an overlap to make sure that the water, and it keeps running down this way. So I am nearly there. There is a couple of other bits that I must do. I had some old kind of cut off pieces of 4x1s. So I ran them the whole way along the end of the rafters, and then I was able to then screw the end of the roof panels, the corrugated roof panels, into this. And then also I'll bolt the gutter when I get it onto the 4x1s. And then I have one of these from another build I did. It's kind of flashings, which I'm going to get a couple more of these. I think they come in 3 meter lengths. And what I'm planning to do is, so this flashing, I will put on the edge here, and the same thing on the other side. Run a flashing kind of along here, so bolt it to the rafter and kind of sit it over the top of the corrugated roof. And I suppose it should stop any rain kind of coming into this gap, between the roof and the rafter, and then also the wind kind of comes from this side, so it should stop the wind from kind of whipping into that gap there under the roof and kind of lifting the roof. Hopefully it'll either, well, I might put a wall on the back of this in the future, but for now you basically have the wind hit that flashing and kind of shoot off and not get in under the roof. So the wind kind of whips this way, right? So I overlapped the panels starting from the other end, and then I sat the panels on top working this way, so that when the wind comes this direction, it will go over where the panels overlap instead of under. As if I started this side and I lay a panel and then I overlapped them, the next one overlapped on top of this one, then if the wind is coming this way, it'll get under the panels. So maybe a consideration which direction typically the wind comes from, and then you lay the panels with them overlapping in the direction that the wind blows to keep the roof down. And then one other thing that I kind of, well, I had it done and then I changed it was, so if you see here, I have an overlap, right? It is, one of them is ending here. The panel on the right is ending here, and the panel on the left is starting here. So if you count, there is 1, 2 kind of valleys on the overlap, because if the rain comes on top into the one on the top, which is this one, it comes down into the first valley here, it still has to go up over this top ridge to be able to get inside here. So I overlapped them with 2 ridges so that the water typically will not go in, down, up over the ridge and then into the inside. Initially, I only had them overlapped on only on one valley. So this sheet originally would have started here, and I only have them overlapped on this part. And then I kind of thought, oh, look, if the water comes into one valley and it fills up from a lot of rain, could it pop up over this edge here? Not sure, didn't want to test it. So what I actually ended up doing is I overlapped the one extra one, which probably meant I had to buy 1 extra sheet to cover down the end, because I was short on maybe half a sheet down the end. But yeah, something that I had half the roof done and then I changed it after to make sure that I kind of had extra overlap to try and keep the water out. Something else worth mentioning, actually, I'm just doing the rest of that pillar. I'm going to make a small box basically, try and fill this pillar, but what I'm using and what I use for this pillar is this stuff, Kilsaran 3-in-1 sand and cement. Probably not the cheapest option, but for a small job, ideal. Like buying cement by itself and then sand, it's, yeah, the ready mix stuff is perfect for these kind of jobs. So yeah, that's what I was using. Put a couple of walls, bit of a light, bit of electricity, and be a nice, and eventually probably level this, and I'll have a nice, hopefully sheltered place to do a bit of work on the cars. So yeah, that is quick whistle top tour on a DIY pergola. So hopefully this is helpful. If you like this, you like the channel, give me a like and subscribe.